Imagine stepping into a golden palace, where chandeliers sparkle like constellations and royals glide across velvet floors. Now imagine the stench, overpowering, nauseating, unforgettable. Behind every bejeweled tiara was a truth no one talked about: royal women lived in filth. Today, we're peeling back the silk curtains to reveal the real story behind those picture-perfect portraits. Trust me, this is the royal history they didn't teach you in school. Stick around as we explore the 7 worst hygiene practices of royal women, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more dark corners of history brought to light. Chapter 1: Bathing, a Sin and a Risk. While today's skincare routines include serums, exfoliants, and warm showers, noblewomen of the 17th and 18th centuries avoided water like it was poison. Why? Because doctors at the time believed warm water opened pores to deadly diseases. Add to that the Church's condemnation of bathing as vanity, and suddenly cleanliness became sinful. Royal women cleaned using cloths dipped in vinegar, alcohol, or even spit. Full-body baths were rare, maybe once a year, and often shared by the whole family. And women, of course, bathed last. The result? Skin caked in layers of makeup and grime, hidden under luxurious fabrics that masked, but didn't fix, the smell. Chapter 2: Toilets, or the lack thereof. You'd think a palace like Versailles would have had sparkling bathrooms. Wrong. With thousands of courtiers and barely any plumbing, the palace was essentially an indoor outhouse. Chamber pots were the norm, and human waste was often tossed from windows. Courtiers relieved themselves in corners, gardens, or anywhere convenient. For royal women, this meant navigating grand halls in expensive gowns, dodging puddles of urine and worse. Toilet paper. Non-existent. They used scraps of cloth, hay, or even hands. And washing afterward? A luxury few practiced. The smell at Versailles was so unbearable, even foreign dignitaries wrote home about it in disgust. Hygiene attendants were responsible for disposing of waste, but often failed to keep up with the demand. Waste collected in courtyards and back rooms, turning once beautiful spaces into cesspools. Some rooms were specifically designated for defecation, unofficially called piss corners, even in the Queen's wing. Chapter 3: Wigs, Infested and Flammable. Royal hairstyles weren't just fashion, they were architecture. Women wore wigs stuffed with horsehair, wire frames, and pomade made from beef fat. These towering styles attracted lice like magnets. Washing hair wasn't an option, and removing the wigs daily was too inconvenient. So women used silver lice scratchers, yes, real tools, to dig into their itchy scalps at dinner. Worse yet, wigs were so greasy and heavy that some caught fire from candles. Yet still, wearing a less-than-perfect wig could cost you status at court. Imagine suffering chronic neck pain and a lice infestation just to stay fashionable. Some wigs were so elaborate that they included miniature dioramas, battleships, bird cages, floral arrangements. It could take hours to prepare a wig, and some women slept sitting up to preserve the style. When the wigs finally came off, the scalp underneath was often raw, scabbed, or infected. Chapter 4: Rotten Teeth and Toxic Beauty. Dental hygiene. Practically non-existent. Women used twigs, cloth, or nothing at all. Tooth decay was rampant. Combine that with lead-based makeup, yes, lead, and you had a perfect storm of health horrors. Royal women applied white paint made of lead to achieve the flawless look. Over time, this caused skin sores, hair loss, and even neurological damage. Rouge often contained mercury. So under the powdered elegance was a face literally falling apart. Smiling was discouraged, not because it was unladylike, but because most nobles had blackened, decaying teeth. Some even had fake teeth made from ivory or bone, which stained quickly and offered no real comfort. A mouthful of pain was a price paid for fashion. Chapter 5: Food poisoning in the palace. Banquets dazzled the eye, roast pheasants, golden pies, candied fruit. But behind the kitchen doors, Sewage leaks, spoiled meat, and swarms of rats. With no refrigeration and poor plumbing, food was often contaminated. Royal women were expected to eat delicately in public, even while suffering from foodborne illnesses. Nausea, diarrhea, and parasitic infections were common. Queen Marie Antoinette reportedly had a tapeworm over 6 inches long. Imagine entertaining nobles while battling stomach cramps in silence. Kitchens were filled with smoke, grime, and overworked servants. Leftovers were sometimes reused days later. Noblewomen were not only victims of illness but sometimes unwitting carriers, spreading diseases through shared cutlery or drinking vessels. Chapter 6, Childbirth, a public spectacle. Giving birth was not a private affair. It was performance art. Royal women gave birth in rooms packed with observers, courtiers, doctors, priests, and noble onlookers, to prove the child was truly theirs. This lack of privacy, combined with unwashed hands and tools, made childbirth dangerous. Infections were rampant. Mothers and babies died often. Marie Antoinette passed out from the heat and stress of one such delivery. 1 in 3 royal children didn't survive past age 3, and their mothers were at constant risk. Royal birthing beds were elaborate but impractical. They were draped in heavy fabrics that trapped heat and germs. Midwives often worked without sterilized instruments or clean linens. Aftercare was minimal, with mothers expected to return to court appearances soon after. Chapter 7, Underwear. Optional. Laundry. Rare. Laundry was a major ordeal, clothes were expensive and cleaning them could damage the fabric. So noblewomen wore the same undergarments for days, sometimes weeks. Sweat, bacteria, and menstrual stains soaked into the layers. And without proper hygiene products, women used rags or nothing at all during their periods. Changing clothes frequently was seen as wasteful. Some even perfumed their undergarments instead of washing them. So beneath the layers of taffeta and lace, reality was far less romantic. Corsets added another layer of discomfort. Tight-laced and rarely washed, they often caused bruising, fainting, and even internal damage. Mix that with reused pads and unwashed skirts, and you've got a breeding ground for infections. Conclusion. So the next time you see a royal portrait, flawless hair, powdered skin, jewel-encrusted gowns, remember what was happening underneath. Behind every graceful curtsy was a lice infestation. Behind every radiant smile, rotting teeth. And beneath every silk dress, a story the history books often skip. Royal women weren't just victims of poor hygiene. They were prisoners of a system obsessed with image over well-being. The grandeur of the court came at the cost of dignity, health, and comfort. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more raw, real, and revealing stories from history's hidden corners. Got a topic you'd like me to cover next? Drop it in the comments. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe go take a shower.